Hi Carla.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me for today. We're going to have a chat for our Essential Expert series. And I wanted to kick off with you really telling us what WGSN is and what you do for customers.
Okay, so probably the best way to describe what we do at WGSN is think about when you woke up this morning and you would have pulled back your duvet cover, presumably, and then maybe walked into your bathroom and brushed your teeth or washed your face and then decided what clothes you were going to wear and what you were going to eat for breakfast. So all of those decisions you made, you were touching a product of sorts. So your duvet cover, your pillowcase, the toothbrush you picked up, the shirt you're wearing today, someone somewhere had to design that. And they had to think, what was the colour, what was the fabric, what was the shape. And at WGSN, we help designers make all of those decisions. And we did that originally for the fashion industry, so we're 20 years old in 2018. And over the last 20 years, we've expanded that to 23 different industries where we help them make on-trend product decisions.
So that sounds super cool. And but how do you do it? How do you, I guess, see what's happening and then present that back to customers in a way that's useful?
Okay, so we've got a team of experts across the globe, and they're real subject matter experts. So I've got a team who are just dedicated to denim. That's all they think about, that's what they dream about. They are at the factories where denim's created, they are at the trade shows where denim is sold, they are at the festivals where people are wearing lots of denim, and they know the industry inside out. So they are looking to see how are consumers just beginning to change, what are the new innovations in fabrics that are happening in the factories, and they use all of those different touch points to project into the future what kind of denim we will be wearing tomorrow, what we'll be wearing in 2 months' time, and also actually the kind of denim we want to be wearing in 2 years' time, because that's also really important for companies to make decisions well ahead of when they're going to want something in the stores.
So I can understand how you can see what's happening because you can track that, you can use data. I know you use a lot of data. But how do you do the sort of, well, where's this going to be in 2 years? Because that feels like a really difficult thing to do.
Yeah. And as a journalist by background, when I came into this company, I was quite cynical about the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. But what you have to do is start with the consumer and where is the consumer going? So we have a whole team who are looking at just the little micro movements of consumer behaviour, and we take into account all sorts of things that are happening. So we're looking at politics, we're looking at economics, we're looking at societal and industry shifts, and we use that to create these big macro trends. So let me give you a good example. We know that people are working from home more at the moment, and that's a shift that we've begun to see, but projections suggest that a much larger percentage of us will be working from home in 2 years' time. Now that has a massive impact on the clothes that we wear, because if we're not coming to the office, well, we dress differently when we're at home, and video conferencing is getting more advanced, so it doesn't mean that we're going to just dress in our pyjamas, but we're probably going to dress more comfortably, and we're also going to need better software for our computers if that's going to work, and we're going to need different setups. So all of those things will have an impact on the products that companies should be making and selling for the next few years.
So we're all going to end up like TV presenters with a smart shirt on and
we'll
jogging
basically
trousers.
be wearing really comfortable shorts, and then we'll probably need to make sure that our powder is just that little bit better. And I tell you, as someone who does quite a lot of video conferencing calls, I look pretty atrocious in all of them. So if someone could come up with a filter that makes me look better on video conference, that would be amazing.
So you said earlier, that you're in 23, you service 23
Yeah.
industries. And I guess, WGSN is very connected with fashion.
Yep.
You really are a leader in that field, and a lot of people would be familiar with that. So what's driving other industries to come and take your core capability?
Okay, so if you think about maybe even like 5 years ago, we often made decisions about the products that we were going to buy based on whether it would work or not. So if you're buying a car, part of that decision-making process will be, this car is going to get me from A to B. But we are at a stage in our evolution or product evolution where most things work now. And we certainly expect most things to work, which means the aesthetic decision has become even more important. And we've become, as society across the globe, more aesthetically minded, and social media plays a part in that, the traditional media plays a part in that. So if our decisions are now more aesthetically based, then every product has got to look better. And the fashion industry naturally has been at the forefront of making things look better. So lots of these adjacent industries have gone, okay, so I'm building a car, well, you know, I probably know how to make the engine better, and I assure you there are companies who can help you make great engines. That's not what we're doing. But now I've got the engine really, really well honed, I probably need to think about the colour choice. And so we do have the automotive industry coming to us and saying, well, you know colour for fashion really well, so can you help us with the colour for our cars? And that's how we've grown, and that's how we've seen other industries coming in and saying, okay, you know it really well in this industry, you must be able to help us too.
So you're saying we're actually going to have cars that aren't black, white or silver?
I am definitely saying that.
I really wish you luck with that one. So this year you've released a couple of white papers, Future Consumer 2020 and the Gen Z generation. And they've attracted quite a lot of attention. Could you give us the highlights of those two papers?
Yeah. So the Future Consumer is a report that we put out every single year, and that's our far-reaching thought process. So this is how we think consumers will behave, and the reason we do that is because we know everything starts with the consumer. You can't make a product if you don't know who you're making it for. And what we do is we looked at the big drivers that will be having an impact in a couple of years' time. One of those, let me give you an example, 5G. So 5G is already rolling out in the US, but by 2020, it will be across the globe. And it's going to change the way that we shop completely. And those of us, well, most people have probably made a purchase on their mobile phone. By 2020, up to half our purchases are going to be made by our mobile phones, and that has an impact on what we expect from our mobile phones. It has an impact on the kind of shopping experience that we expect, but it will have an impact on the products as well, because we're going to expect them like that. And any company whose app doesn't work brilliantly and look brilliant, any brand that hasn't thought about the friction as part of that process and then hasn't thought about the product at the end of it, isn't going to survive. So we look at those big drivers, and then we look at what's very important to consumers out of those drivers, and then we come up with tribes. And this is real WGSN heartland. So we've got the local Vist is one of our tribes that we're predicting for 2020, and we really, through these white papers, introduce those tribes to our client base, and then we work with them through our consulting company Mindset to help them work out what that means for their particular brand or retail experience.
And the Generation Z paper?
Okay, so this is a real favourite, because basically we'd all got sick and tired of everyone asking us about millennials. And we have done so much on millennials, and they are still very important. But Gen Z are at the stage now, some of them are turning 23 this year. You know, they're getting married, some of them are having children, they're certainly in the workplace. And we felt it was really important to educate businesses about this younger generation, but not you know, they're not babies, you know, they're really, really important. And what we did through all our research is basically created two personas for Gen Z, and they're called Gen Me and Gen We, because it was very difficult just to do broad brushstrokes about this generation. There were two very different views within it. And Gen Me is perhaps what you might typically associate with Gen Z. Very self-obsessed. They've grown up in the age of social media. They are, like I was suggesting earlier, you know, they want exactly the right makeup products to ensure they look brilliant on camera. Their heroes are, dare I say it, you know, still the Kardashians. They are still experience obsessed, so that experience economy hasn't gone away. But then their kind of brothers and sisters on Gen We, they're the ones that you have seen campaigning on the streets. They're the ones who have decided that the petitions that you sign online just aren't doing enough. They are sick and tired, and they've lost all trust in governments and big corporates, and they want to change the world. So you've got these very different cohorts, but the interesting thing is they can also move between the two. And so with that white paper, we introduced them, we looked at who their heroes and heroines are, we looked at where they are, where they're consuming media, where and if they're consuming product, and also how brands can attract them.
Fantastic, fantastically interesting. I think I have 2 Gen Zs at home, so I'm recognising some of that. So given that you've been so focused on the customer and now you've got the full reins of WGSN, where is it you want to take the business?
Okay. So, I want to go broader. So I said we're servicing 23 industries. We are much deeper in some of those than others, and I've got high ambitions that we are as well known in food and drink and beauty and consumer electronics as we are in fashion. It's not going to happen overnight, but I definitely think the potential is there. I also, though, want to help our clients who are in this increasing fast-paced world where the consumer is in charge but changes their mind all the time. I want to help them make the right product decisions now, and that's changed even in the few years that I've been with WGSN, because, and it sounds like a cliche, the world's got faster, but consumers' appetite and demands and the passions, those are getting faster as well. And so we need to make sure that the designers that use us, or the buyers or the executives, have access to the latest information, and they have it when they need it. And the way that they consume those insights is changing. And I think what's really interesting for me is not that doesn't just mean that they want it on their mobile phone. Increasingly, they want to hear in real life, because we're so used to things being digitized that sometimes we want to see the white of the expert's eyes and be able to ask them questions. And I'm sure that's why our consulting business is doing so well at the moment, because they really want to get to the nitty gritty of it and understand why is that relevant for the person that I'm selling to, and how do I understand that consumer better? So I think it's about taking our really global expertise and then making it very, very specific for the businesses we're serving.
So as you said, WGSN is celebrating 20 years
now,
yes. 2018, and when it started, it was a bit of a digital disruptor, because it was replacing, physical lookbooks and all kinds of old-fashioned things that were happening 20 years ago. And now we're living in what feels like a period of even more intense digital disruption. How do you hinted at it there, being more personal with customers. What do you see? How do you see the brand's interaction with customers evolving from here?
So I think it's kind of the two extremes. So one is, can I get that information really, really quickly on the device that's most relevant to me? And that might not be a mobile phone. I mean, I'm as anyone who works at WGSN will know, I'm obsessed with my Fitbit, which you actually can't see because I'm wearing long sleeves today. But I rely on that for an awful lot now. And I want to know how many steps I've taken, but that's where my text messages and things come through. That's where I get my alerts. If I rely on that in the future the way I do today, then why wouldn't I want the things that make my business life better as well as my health better? And that's the quick stuff. That's the things I want to action right now. But I also think, and now I'm now I'm running a company, I also know that every day I'm making decisions about today, but I also need to make decisions about 3 years' time. And that's the stuff that you need time taken. You don't make those decisions in 20 minutes. You make those decisions over maybe 6 months, and you need expertise all around you and different kinds of experts. And I think that's where we're getting to. How do we make sure that we get stuff super fast on the device or app or Alexa or whatever that might be in really fast? And then how do we also help people plan for the future? And I think that's more likely to be done in a face-to-face way.
You're running 14 offices worldwide. Effectively, your business is always on.
Yeah.
How the hell do you get your head around that and make that work? That seems so difficult.
I think I'm very lucky that we have a very generous team in that aspect, and everyone is conscious that sometimes it's their evenings or their weekends or their public holidays, and that differs wherever we go. When we're filming right now, that's their World Cup match, and therefore they can't be interrupted. But I feel very strongly that people should have their time off. I used to work for a 24/7 news organisation where you never switched off. And we're not curing brain cancer here. We're helping people make amazing trend product decisions. So we're flexible with each other, and we use whatever communication device we need to make sure that we can talk.
It definitely seems to be working. Thank you very much, Carla.
My pleasure.
Thank you.